In Hollywood, war is about heroism, strategy, and explosions. In reality, war is about accounting. During the peak of the conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, the United States government was spending money at a rate that is almost impossible to comprehend. If you break down the total cost of those operations, the burn rate was roughly $10 million per hour, every single hour, for years. Imagine a machine that shreds a brand new Ferrari every 90 seconds. That is the cost of a modern military operation. But where does that money go? It's not just bullets and bombs, it's air conditioning in the desert, it's satellite bandwidth, and it's shipping a gallon of gas halfway around the world. Today, we are going to audit the battlefield. We are going to break down exactly how you spend $10 million in 60 minutes. The fastest way to burn money is to put it in a jet engine. Air superiority is the backbone of American doctrine, and it is astronomically expensive. Flying an F-35 Lightning II costs roughly $42,000 per hour, but a major operation doesn't have just one jet. You have a squadron, plus AWACS command planes, $40,000 per hour, plus J-STAR surveillance planes, plus the tankers to refuel them all. In a single strike package hour where you have 20 or 30 aircraft in the sky, you're burning $1.5 to $2 million just in fuel and maintenance. And that's before they drop a single bomb. They are just doing circles in the sky, and the tax meter is running. If the operation involves the Navy, the price doubles. A carrier strike group, CSG, is a floating economy. You have the carrier, USS Gerald R. Ford, plus destroyers, cruisers, and submarines. Operating a single carrier strike group costs about $6.5 million to $8 million per day. That breaks down to about $300,000 per hour. Why? Because you are powering nuclear reactors, feeding 7,000 sailors, and running a floating airport. If you launch a Tomahawk cruise missile from one of those destroyers, add $2 million to the bill instantly. If you launch a volley of 20 missiles, you just spent $40 million in 30 seconds. That's the budget of a small blockbuster movie gone in a puff of smoke. Let's talk about the expendables. In World War II, bombs were dumb iron weights. Today, everything is smart, and smart is expensive. A standard JDAM GPS-guided bomb is actually cheap, about $25,000. But a Hellfire missile fired from a drone, $150,000. A Javelin anti-tank missile fired by a soldier on the ground, $175,000. Think about that. A soldier pulls a trigger, whoosh. In the time it takes the missile to hit the tank, he just fired the equivalent of a 4-year college education at Harvard. In a high-intensity hour of combat with artillery, airstrikes, and ground fire, you can expend $5 million in munitions without even trying hard. This is the fact that shocks people the most. The most expensive thing in war isn't the weapon, it's getting the weapon to the fight. The Pentagon uses a metric called the fully burdened cost of fuel. Sure, gas costs $3 a gallon in Texas, but by the time you ship it to Pakistan, drive it in a truck through the mountains of Afghanistan, protect that truck with private security and Apache helicopters, that single gallon of gas can cost the military $400. During the height of the war, the U.S. military was spending $20 billion a year just on air conditioning in Iraq and Afghanistan. Why? Because to run a C in a tent in the desert, you need generators. Generators need fuel, and fuel has to be trucked in through enemy territory. You have 100,000 troops on the ground. You aren't just paying their salary. You are paying for their hazard pay and family separation allowance and imminent danger pay. But the real cost is support. For every soldier with a rifle, there are contractors cooking food, doing laundry, and building barracks. In modern wars, the ratio of contractors to soldiers is often 1-to-1. These private companies like KBR or Halliburton charge a premium. Feeding, housing, and ensuring a force of that size costs roughly $1 million per hour in pure sustainment. You can't fight if you can't talk. A modern operation relies on a massive grid of satellites. GPS, secure comms, drone uplinks. The Department of Defense buys roughly 80% of all available commercial satellite bandwidth during a major conflict. They are paying millions per hour to companies like Viasat or Starlink just to keep the data flowing. Plus, you have the ISR assets, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. Flying a Global Hawk drone costs $30,000 an hour. Information is the most expensive commodity on the battlefield. War destroys machinery even if the enemy never shoots at it. Sand is like sandpaper. It eats helicopter engines, it destroys tank tracks. An M1 Abrams tank costs $10 million. In peace, it lasts 20 years. In war, the harsh conditions might burn it out in 5. This is called accelerated depreciation. Every hour a tank drives in the desert, it is losing thousands of dollars in value. The U.S. military estimates that resetting the force, repairing gear after a deployment costs billions. That cost is accruing every single hour the operation is active. We often forget this cost because it comes later, but in the accounting of war, it starts now. Every injury requires a medevac flight, thousands of dollars. Field surgery, transport to Germany, transport to Walter Reed, and then the lifetime care. The cost of treating veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan is projected to be $2 trillion over the next few decades. When you calculate the true cost of an hour of combat, you have to factor in the 50 years of medical care for the soldiers injured in that hour. Let's look at the big picture. According to the Costs of War project by Brown University, the total price tag for the post-9/11 wars is roughly $8 trillion. If you do the math, 20 years, 24 hours a day, that averages out to $45 million per hour every hour for 2 decades. That includes the interest on the debt we borrowed to pay for it. So my estimate of $10 million an hour at the start of this video, that was actually conservative. Here's the final fact. War is no longer just about capturing territory. It is about bankruptcy. Advanced missiles cost millions. Cheap drones cost thousands. If an enemy forces you to shoot a $2 million Patriot missile to shoot down a $20,000 drone, you are losing the war even if you hit the target. This is the cost exchange ratio. Modern warfare is an economic siege. The side that goes broke first loses. The next time you see a clip of a jet taking off on the news, don't just see the power. See the price tag, see the schools, the hospitals, and the infrastructure that went into the fuel tank of that jet. Freedom isn't free. In fact, it's the most expensive thing on the planet. Subscribe for more breakdowns of the systems that run our world.